Hi guys, and welcome to For the Love of Rescue, powered by Woodrock Animal Rescue. I'm Jax Marthes.
And I'm Stella Mulder. Welcome guys.
So today in our podcast we have some really exciting things to talk about. What I'd like to chat about, Stella, is, you know, it's summer now, it's December holidays creeping up, you know, people are spending a lot of time out. The weather, okay, today's a little bit, seems a little bit gloomy and windy, but generally it's been really hot, stuffy and clammy kind of hot. I'd like to just talk about some kind of things, like I'd like to talk about dogs getting heat stroke. Do dogs get heat stroke?
And how they do, definitely. Remember that they're carrying a woolen coat around with them all the time. And when the weather becomes unbearably hot, as it has been the last 3 or 4 days, your dogs definitely have a change in personality, and beware, they get heat stroke and a lot can go wrong.
So some of the signs of heat stroke are excessive panting. You will see that they need some water. Often their gums also change color. Gums are a really big sign for a lot of things, a lot of illnesses. You know, just to lightly lift up that lip and look at the color of the gums. You know, sometimes people will pull up the gum really tight. So, oh my God, my dog's gum is white. You know, alarm bells, but it's not necessarily the case. You've just pulled up the gum too tight. They do get lethargic as well.
So also don't forget is that the lethargy that you might see, you might actually just say, oh, it's nothing. But when it's hot, rather be certain and take a look and see if your dog has any symptoms. You should all keep a thermometer in the house, and why not just take a thermometer check and just do damage control if the dog is a little bit, has a higher temperature.
As well as that vomiting and you know, an excessive thirst. You know, when they get so thirsty, it's going to actually take us on to our next point. But you know, just please, with the weather, doesn't matter what the weather's like, but with the December holidays, I know they also are getting a couple of extra treats here and there, as we are all busy having a lot more entertaining going on. So please make sure that there's water all the time. And also, real important thing, just to remember to keep moving the water into the shade and not leaving it out in the sun. In actual fact, I was out with one of my dogs this week, and I offered him some water and he was definitely not interested, but an ice cube, holding an ice cube and letting him suckle on that ice cube gave me lots of pleasure and him lots of enjoyment. We then spoke about, you know, drinking, excessive thirst, and often dogs, when they go out, they'll drink a lot and gulp, and this can lead to something that can be quite severe and quite dangerous.
Okay,
so what
so
is that?
It's more common with the older dogs. It's called a contortion of the intestines. It's known as
Twisted gut,
twisted
right?
gut, correct. And what happens is that the dog will go on a run and exercise. The person wouldn't have remembered that the dog had a snack at home before, or they come home and they drink like a bowl of water, which you expect from them, as you would if you had exercised. But more important, don't go and give them a bowl of food after exercise. That is a big red flag. You will actually see a torsion happening quite severely if you do that, or if the dog is prone to having a torsion. Now, what is a torsion? It's when the intestines strangle each other, and you have to get your dog to a vet, to a qualified vet, within, I'd say, an hour. You actually have a very small window period to actually correct a torsion. Sadly, once a dog has had a torsion, and even if they do survive a torsion, which is having to either go in and straighten out the gut, they are very prone to having another torsion. I do have to tell you, they don't have to only be large breed dogs. I had a Dachshund, my lovely Dachshund Cadbury, who died at 17 from a torsion, and you will see their stomach bloat. It's scary because it is so painful, and it's sad, and you feel helpless as a dog owner. Even myself, who was so experienced at torsions, and having seen it many times in my life. When Cadbury had that torsion, I was saying no to everybody. This is not happening. It's really not happening. This is a small breed dog. It can't be happening. It does.
Absolutely. And still, the last point that I'd like to chat about today is pools. It is summer now. A lot of people have got open pools. And you know, some dogs just are not swimmers. Like a Pekingese, for example, they don't swim. They literally just drop down to the bottom of the pool. But you know, in other cases, it's really important, if you get in a puppy and that, to kind of show them this is what the water's about. Try, and if they do have those longer limbs, etc., get them to come near the water, show them about how to swim, show them how to get to the front of the pool. Also, a great trick which I did learn is, if you know, as soon as you get puppies, if you do have an open pool, it's a large breed puppy, to put bricks on the step, because it just makes it easier for them to get out, because they do panic. Anything you can add to that regarding pools, open pools, and swimming with dogs?
You know that there's this thought that certain dogs don't swim. Staffies are not the greatest swimmers. Scotties are not the greatest swimmers, and they can be. You can teach them from a tiny puppy if your pool is like user friendly, because what actually happens is that the dog gets very excited when the family are having fun. And similarly, if the dogs who can get into this first step can also take part in family activities. I'm sure a lot of you have seen your dogs run around the pool a million times in fear that you are actually in trouble, and they're frightened when you swim and you're jumping in and out. So if they're not swimmers, please be cautioned that they can fall in at that point, and it is scary for them, which means that they won't come near the pool a second time. On the other hand, they might just fall in and drown on another occasion. I'd like to just bring in another point with heat stroke. You know, animal lovers are strange creatures. We want our dogs with us most of the time, and no better time than on holidays and on during the Christmas festive season. We'll bring Jimmy with us for a drive, and you leave the dog in the car because you're just going to the pharmacy to collect whatever, and you'll dash in and dash out. You leave the car window open just a little bit. That is, please guys, I say to you now, this is a serious offense. Do not leave your dogs unattended in a locked car. It is cruel, and it can cause them to die within minutes. Heat stroke is very, very real. In your car, I just did it recently, I did it for one of the caregivers. Keep a panic pack. So if your dog does look like they are having heat stroke, if your dog does look like they were at the park being bitten by a bee, have a health pack. What do you want to call it?
I love that. Like a little medic pack, a little first aid pack. I love that idea. I think I'm actually going to implement it myself.
Because we travel such a lot, and we in the informal settlements, and we see stray dogs all the time on the side of the road. Excuse the dogs barking, but we are at a shelter. We have to be mindful of the fact that if a dog is running in the traffic, they are so fearful, but they're also hungry. So you can lure them in with some tasty tins, and you just open a tin and they can be caught and taken into the car out of danger.
It's a really, really good idea. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast for the Love of Rescue, powered by Woodrock Animal Rescue. I'm Jax Matthews.
And I'm Stella Meldo. Have a great week ahead.